billionaires on it also go through that. But I could imagine that every one of us, in fact, a billionaire's problem might be bigger than that of you. You never know. Yours is just get so kicky and so you're cool. But Charlie, billionaires thinking huge and all that. Probably they have more stress. One day we need to bring one into the studios for me to interview. Anyway, stress is a natural human response that prompts us to address challenges or threats in our lives. Everyone expresses stress to one degree or the other. And like I said, the billionaire stress might not be the pauper stress. The way we respond to stress, however, makes a big difference in our overall well-being. So you want to stay forever young, your overall well-being is very important. And to help us decode and decouple all the issues around stress, to disentangle all of this, we have in the studio Mr. Julius Forson. He is a clinical health psychology resident. Yes, clinical health psychology resident of the UGMC, the University of Ghana Medical Center. Mr. Julius Forson is here with us in the studios. We're talking stress on Health and Wellness Tuesdays right here on Z in the Morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
We're delighted to have you. So I just read something about stress and all that, and we read the Forbes top African richest. Of course, don't ask me. Ghana know the inside. So yeah, Ghana is not represented, but that doesn't mean we don't have them here. First of all, let's find out in this conversation on stress that we want to have today. What are the most common causes of stress in one's life or daily routine?
So once again, thank you. So when it comes to stress, I must say that everybody goes through stress. So from the billionaire to the lowest person you can ever think of, everybody faces stress.
Dangote gets stress.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. In as much as they have all the money, they still go through stress. We all face it in our day-to-day, activities. So some of the most common causes of stress, we could find them in relationships. So in relating with people, we face stress. We can also find them in our workspace, in our environment, in family, in school. Anything that we engage ourselves in from time to time or in our daily lives could put us in a state of stress.
And if stress has been defined as what state of worry or mental tension, what we are saying is that in engaging in relationships at work and with the environment and all of that, what brings about the stress? What brings about the tension?
Okay.
Why is that the worry?
Okay, so naturally, the body is designed in a way that perceives threats. So how we react. So stress comes as a result of the body perceiving a threat.
Okay.
And so in a relationship, for instance, let me give an example. In a relationship, for instance, if assuming your spouse is not checking up on you and you feel, my husband or wife should check up on me as often and I'm not getting that. When that happens, the body can perceive it as a threat and can perceive it as something that is harmful. And so when we are perceiving a threat, how we react, it's
that causes the stress.
Yes, that causes the stress.
Okay. I'm sure that one I'm very guilty. Checking in on all that. I'm highly guilty. Anyway. Yeah, so if we perceive anything that is coming against us, our normal reaction, our natural human response is stress.
So when we are in a state of stress as a result of the body perceiving the threat, then we react. And so on the normal circumstance, you are not going to be under stress if your body is not perceiving anything that is harmful or threatening to you.
Interesting. Everyone experiences stress to some degree. That's what we're learning here this morning. So now the body has perceived it. The body has reacted in such a way. The stress is on. How do you cope? What are the coping mechanisms? How do you manage stress in the best way possible?
Okay, so in managing stress, there are various ways, and I must say that in in our lives, we all use things to help us deal with things that we are going through. So when we talk about coping mechanism, basically we are talking about things that you do that is soothing for the body to manage whatever that you are going through. And so when we talk about coping mechanisms, I must indicate that we have the adaptive coping mechanisms, and then we have the maladaptive coping mechanisms. So for instance, someone would say that if they are going through stress, their way of coping is by consuming alcohol, and that is their coping mechanism. But I must say that it's rather maladaptive as compared to some of the adaptive coping mechanisms I would like to talk about. So in coping with stress, some of the things you could do to help manage your stress is, first of all, exercising. Surprisingly, most people wouldn't want to do this because they would rather say it's more physical and it will rather compound the stress. But then exercising surprisingly releases endorphins. So endorphins are more like mood stabilizers for the body. And then
feel good neurons.
Yes, feel good neurons. Mm-hmm. That's great. And so when we exercise, it helps the body to be in a better state of mood. Yeah. Okay. So exercise is a great deal to help cope with stress. Another coping mechanism that helps deal with stress is by having a social support, a good social support system. And so naturally, whenever we are going through stress and we are able to have people around that we could talk about just what is going on with us with, it helps the body to be relieved of whatever stress that we are going through. And so having a good social circle whereby you have the space to talk about whatever that is going on with you actually helps deal with stress. So exercise helps. Having a good social circle helps. Another way we could deal with stress is by breathing. So here, when I say breathing, some people again would say that, but we're
all breathing.
Yeah, we are all breathing. That's right. But we have some relaxation techniques that could help manage with stress. And so relaxation techniques like deep breathing exercise or diaphragmatic breathing exercise or progressive muscle relaxation, which also helps deal with stress. So whenever you breathe properly, and here I'm talking about deep breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, it helps the body to be in a more relaxed state, which helps to deal with stress.
If there is adaptive and there is maladaptive, does that mean that, and we've spoken about one of the maladaptive, which is what, drinking?
Yes.
What are some of the other ways that you have found out that people try and use to distress, but it's actually the wrong way to go?
Smoking.
Okay.
Smoking. And so I've heard some of the young guys saying that whenever I am in a difficult situation and whenever I feel I'm overwhelmed by something, I try to smoke and it helps me calm down. But that is actually a maladaptive way of dealing with stress. So when talking about coping with stress or using coping strategies with stress, we need to stay on the adaptive way of dealing with stress that doesn't come with any side effects.
So we're saying that it is a maladaptive coping mechanism. If yes, it helps you cope, however, it will leave some damage as well.
Exactly.
Okay. So if social support is an adaptive coping mechanism, are we saying isolation is maladaptive?
Yeah, so isolation could rather make you feel more stressed as compared to having people around. For instance, even for isolation and the effect it has on the brain, studies have shown that it is more good to have people around to share what's going on with you as compared to you staying in isolation. And when one is in isolation, of course, there's more anxiety, there's more, you rather stay in your head most of the time as compared to when you have someone around and you are able to talk things out.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So what are some physical symptoms or signs of stress that people most often that you're aware of?
Okay, so most of the time one might feel drained physically, even emotionally. So there is physical and emotional, drain. There is fatigue. One could experience fatigue to show that one is under stress. Another common thing that you would find when one is dealing with stress is infections. So for me personally, I realize that whenever I'm under a lot of stress, it is evident when it shows up in cold, flu, because one of the things stress does is it has a significant impact on our immune system. And so whenever our immune system is compromised, it is, common to experience infections and cold. So it's also one sign that shows. For females, for instance, it could show up in a dysregulation in their menstrual cycle.
Okay.
So that could also mean an individual is under a lot of stress. And then headaches.
Headaches?
Yes, headaches. Headaches are also a common sign to show that one is under a lot of stress. And then a change in our sleep pattern and then our eating pattern as well. And so you realize that whenever one is under a lot of stress, it is very difficult for the body to get some sleep. More so because whenever we are under stress, one of the things that it does to the body and to our muscles is that it creates a lot of muscle tensions. And so you feel sometimes when you are tired, extremely tired, you feel some form of heaviness around your shoulders, around your neck, So stress stores up in our bodies as tensions. Okay. And when it comes to sleep, in order for the body to be able to completely sleep, it has to be in a relaxed state. And one authority would say that we cannot be relaxed and tensed at the same time. And so when it happens like that, one has to give way. And so usually when one is relaxed, it's more easier to sleep than when one is having a lot of tensions.
Wow, that's interesting. So if you're having persistent headaches and it's something that is not being medical or all that, it could be that you should check out for the stressful conditions. Exactly. How does stress impact our mental health? Okay,
so one way that stress impacts our mental health is that it makes it difficult for us to relate, because in relating, we are engaging emotions, and whenever we are stressed, one of the areas that, again, it affects is our mood. And so you realize that when you're under stress, you easily get agitated, as compared to a day that you wake up and you are having a feeling, I've had a good night's sleep, And so in our relationships, when we are not able to deal with stress, it affects our mood, how we deal with things, how we show emotions, even when it comes to dealing with people. And so this is one of the areas that stress impacts when it comes to our mental health.
Okay. I think then Ghanaians must be very stressed. Because there's a lot of stress in trotros, like people are fighting about, give me this, and people are already stressed.
Exactly. I think for us, stress begins right when we leave home and on our way to work and in our daily activities. So yeah.
I can understand, because if you left your home and you're going to be late because of traffic, the trotro didn't come early, and the mates and this, and they are squeezing you. So it's even possible, like the fish which is not aware it is in water because it is in water all its life we might be living in such a stressed state that we might have adapted to living in stress for life.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So there are times that I've realized that people are actually addicted to their state of stress.
Wow.
You know,
They've been stressed that if you distress them, that becomes a worrying to them.
Yes, it's actually weird for them to feel to be in a relaxed state. You know, so when an individual experiences stress for a long time, they become it's more or less like it becomes part of them. And so for some people, for instance, if you are trying to distress, if you are trying to help them stay relaxed, it's rather weird.
That stresses them.
Yes, because they are not. That's new. That's something that is new to them.
The body is not used to stress.
Yes, exactly.
It's to distress it. So they are so used to stress that if you try to distress them, that becomes stress.
Yes. So more or less, especially for those who are addicted to their work in a way that they are not able to recognize when it's time for them to take a break.
Wow.
You know, so more or less they are always on the go. And when you're always on the go, you become, addicted to adrenaline.
It's the adrenaline rush.
Yes.
That then becomes your take. So what it means is tell this guy, this week don't go to work. Just relax. Watch the waves of the sea. He will be stressed. He will want to run and get back to work.
I mean, they are not used to relaxing.
I know a couple of them. Even in Z Multimedia, I'm looking at some of them.
I mean, again, when you talk about this, people would say, well, I don't have the time to take a break, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then in just 5 or 10 minutes of taking time out when you are on a break from work, when you are going to pick something from the other office, it could be just a simple deep breathing exercise that you would do
from one desk to the other,
which could actually help you manage your stress. So it's not more like I need to take a 1 month vacation or I need to take a 1 week vacation. A simple stroll in the morning before going to take your shower to work or after work could help.
Wow. I know somebody in-house. His favorite statement is, I don't have the time. I think we should be talking to him. Yeah. We should be talking to him. Yes. Also, one of the things that, and this one I got from an interaction with Archbishop Palmer Bakel, who said that we are so not used to quiet.
Exactly.
We're so not used to quietness and to a state of calmness that, and he said he had a proof, and this was when we were on campus in university days. He said the proof is when you come from lectures and you enter your room,
right?
Rather than put your books or whatever down, your phone down, and just lie in bed and calmly, just recover and also just recall what the lectures were all about.
Right.
What is the first thing we do? And 99.9% of us admitted that the first thing you will do when you enter your room is to put on your radio,
right,
or your TV.
Yeah.
Put something
engage. Something should still engage you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is one way by which we've normalized stress. We're learning. This is Z in the morning right here. It's Health and Wellness Tuesdays, and we're having a conversation with our man. He is Mr. Forson. Julius Forson is a clinical health psychology resident at the UGMC. Today, we're talking stress. Does everyone respond to stress the same way?
No.
Okay.
No. So everyone's threshold to reacting to stress is different. And so let me give a simple example. So how an individual would react when he is in a new space, a new working environment, would be totally different from how another person would react the same way. So then again, when we are talking about that, it goes back to the concept about how we appraise the things that happens around us, which could also have an effect as to whether we are facing stress or not. And so, for instance, someone would be stressed by simply waking up and only having one cedi in his wallet. And yet the person would say, well, I have one cedi and it's fine. I mean, I'm still alive. Another person would wake up with 100 cedis in his wallet and will still feel, I mean, I just have 100 cedis and it's not enough for me. You know, so stress alone can be perceived.
Our interpretations of the happenings around us,
right,
can cause us to be stressed.
Right.
So in distressing, we should have a different interpretation.
Yes.
Child, if you have one city, one city you for stress. I mean, you should be rightfully stressed. How are you going to manage with a city? Anyway, but like you're saying, that person will look at it and say, yes, big deal. I have a city.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah. And so for some people who normally would wake up and think, tomorrow is Monday again, and it's going to be stressful. That alone. So you can turn on your stress response by thought alone. Okay. So by just thinking tomorrow is going to be stressful, your body
it follows suit.
Yes, your body will respond to it. And that's how wonderful the body is made. And so how we perceive things around us could also help us to control the stress.
How we perceive things. Our interpretation we give to things around us. Anyway, so if your spouse didn't come home early, you could have a number of interpretations for it.
You could give her the benefits of the doubt.
See, traffic will catch up.
Maybe.
Or in type pie for
maybe. Yeah, rather than,
he's out somewhere doing something.
Yeah, that could be stressful.
What is the correlation between stress and burnout?
So burnout is more work related. So burnout happens in work settings, as opposed to stress. I mean, stress happens in all areas of our life.
Yeah, you said it: environment, relationship, home, and all that. Yeah.
But when it comes to stress, it's more.
When it comes to burnout.
When it comes to burnout, exactly, it is more work related.
Okay, yeah. And it means what?
So with burnout, we are looking at when we get to a point where emotionally we are overwhelmed, we are drained by whatever that is happening in our workspace, as a result of taking on a lot of stress. Yeah.
Okay. So it's an accumulation of stress over a period.
Right.
That leads to burnout. And what are the symptoms of burnout? When a person is burnout, what do they do?
So there's extreme fatigue.
Okay.
So you are mostly tired, no energy at all to engage in work, to engage people at work, to engage anything related with work.
Wow.
So yeah.
I think Abdullah Saka from our newsroom is burned out. I mean, yesterday he slept 10 hours straight. Is that not a sign of burnout? Why would a normal guy just sleep on 12 hours?
Well,
don't worry, Abdullah Saka won't get angry. I mean, we're helping him.
Right.
We're helping Abdullah Saka. In the sense of burnout, which is an accumulation of stress over a period, work-related, how would you advise for somebody in the field? What advice would you give somebody to recover from burnout?
So one of the things that I would encourage them to do is to prioritize, have a schedule.
Okay.
So in a workspace, it is better to have a schedule as to what you would do when you go to work. I need to do this, do that, so that you don't take on a lot of things to bring more stress on yourself. So scheduling is very important, and in so saying, you are talking about time management as well. So you need to have a schedule. You need to have a plan for yourself. So when you wake up in the morning, know that I need to do this. So if you have an early morning stroll that you take before you go to work, you need to prioritize that and stick to it. And then, I get to work at this time, I close at this time, and when I close from work, that's it. I'm not engaging in anything that is work related. So you also have time for yourself. And then you should also have more self-care, So you should take care of yourself. You should do things for yourself to help feel good in an adaptive way.
Not a more adaptive way.
So spa, it's fine. I mean,
go to the spa. Go get a massage.
Right. It's
what
fine.
What if Abdullah Isaka can't afford it?
Well, again, okay, that makes sense. Not everybody could afford a massage. Then a simple breathing exercise would help. I mean, you do it yourself. Nobody's going to charge you.
That's interesting.
So yeah. So
it's free.
It's free.
It's free.
It's basically free.
So talking about the fact that burnout is work related, one of the things I recall learning early in my professional life is the ability to say no. Right. Especially when I was getting into the banking industry, one of the things I was taught was say no. Learn to say no. Otherwise, in an effort to please everybody, you end up taking out too much.
Right.
You know, this person gives you extra work, you take it. This person gives you want to be nice, you don't want to offend people.
Right.
There are times you need to say no.
Right.
I've reached my limit. No, I can't do this anymore. Right. So it's something we need to learn.
Yeah, it is something we need to learn. I think most of the time we are not mindful when it comes to our bodies.
Okay.
Again, all the signs we've spoken about are ways your body is telling you need to take a break. You know, but then because most of the time we are not mindful of ourselves, we are not mindful of our bodies, and we don't listen to our bodies. We just keep going, you know. But then if you are in tune with our bodies, we should be able to tell at this point, I think
I need to take a break.
Yes.
I need to cut it off and then go find somewhere.
Exactly.
In this country, in this economy, as we find ourselves now, what are some practical ways that people can cost effectively, manage stress or burnout? In fact, let's use burnout.
Well, the shore is free. Most shores are free, actually.
Most shores.
Yes.
Some can be quite expensive.
Yes, some can be quite expensive. So sitting at the shore, enjoying the breeze, again, not engaging your phone. Because when we are distressing, one of the things that recently the American Psychological Association has been talking about is ways that social media is rather causing more stress. For the younger generation. So rather than taking time off, sitting by yourself, which it's quite difficult for the generation coming up now to just sit with themselves and enjoy whatever is happening around them. They rather want to still engage even when they've gotten to their limits where they need to take a break. And so most shores are free. You could just sit at the shore and just enjoy the breeze. You could take a stroll again, and you could do that in nature. So where there are trees, that is more helpful. And in distressing, one of the things that we need to pay particular attention to is that we need to be mindful. We need to be more mindful. So just taking a stroll in nature, just observing the trees, observing things around you, again, without engaging your phone, helps deal with stress. And I don't think someone is going to take money for taking a stroll. I mean, so that also
But if you are going to Achimota Forest, they'll charge you at the gate because they think you are going to pray.
Well, again, there are more areas where you could just explore and get in touch with nature. Again, we need to stay in touch with friends. Engage. You could have a talk with a friend, about what is going on with you, what is happening around you. That could also help. You could also engage in something that makes you feel okay. That is a hobby.
Okay.
So for instance, for me, when I'm under stress, one of the things that works for me is cooking.
Oh wow.
Which helps. And so
you're a good cook? When you cook, who eats it? Apart from yourself,
my friends,
they don't complain.
No.
Okay, you're good. Yeah. If they don't complain, you're fine.
No, they. But I'm still learning. I'm still learning. So for me, again, cooking helps. So just cutting, seeing colors, vegetables, taking time, it helps. You could also have a time to a particular time to distress, which you should never compromise.
Okay.
And so you could set a time for yourself at say 7 p.m. where when it's 7 p.m. it is me time. It's a time for you, and at that time you are not engaged, and it's a time for you to breathe. It is a time for you to take a stroll. It's a time for you to think through things, and after the period you could just let go.
How has modern technology and a technological advancement, as it were, affected the stress levels of individuals? Because you kept talking about leave your phone. What's happening?
Okay, so I for me, screen time has become one of the challenge. So we spend a lot of time looking at a screen than sitting in nature, for example, So then more people are rather addicted to, AI, to technology, as opposed to sitting in a group of friends and just talking and laughing. There's a very significant impact of laughing, on the body. And I think because of how the technology has taken over, we are missing out on all of these things, So
people are using their phones to watch TikTok videos and they're laughing. Is it helping?
Well, laughter is good. Again, laughter is good, but too much of it is rather addictive, and it doesn't help.
Wow. So here you are. You use your phone to watch videos that makes you laugh. However, if your life balance is not, your life-work balance or whatever balance is not at the right equilibrium, you then become addicted to the TikTok videos on your phone. And then when you don't get them, you become stressed.
I mean, we are social animals, as some people would say. Yeah. So we rather do well when we are in a group, when we are able to interact face to face. And that is something that I believe technology, although the important side of technology helps, but then it's one of the things that technology has rather taken, from us. So currently, instead of someone getting up and walking to visit a friend, would rather tell me, oh, I streaked.
Okay.
I streaked and he saw it, or someone would see it. That doesn't work.
Okay.
In the process of even walking to your friend's house, there is movement, which helps, the body to deal with whatever that is going on.
Interesting.
And so, yeah.
Because one of my favorite, I like quiz shows.
Right.
So The Chase, Tipping Point, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I mean, anything that questions and answers, I love it. I learned something over this weekend, and I was amazed. There was a question that was posed on this BBC quiz program called The Chase, where they said, what is range anxiety? Range anxiety. And I'd never heard of it before. It was the first time I heard this thing like that, range anxiety. And then because obviously the person didn't get it right, when the answer came back, range anxiety is the fear people who own electric vehicles have of not having sufficient charge to complete a journey. The range of the charge causes anxiety. And that adds to stress. I was blown away.
Right.
That someone goes to buy a Tesla and he's charged it, but he doesn't know if he will get to his house or the battery will die on the way, and he's anxious.
Right.
That's what modern technology is doing to us.
Yeah. So in as much as it is helping us become more global and have a close community, it is again not helping when it comes to dealing with some of these things. I'm sure most youngsters are more anxious with their devices, than staying face to face with their grandmother and just talking.
Yeah, my soon to be 12-year-old always gives me that stuff.
Right.
Like he hasn't got data, or his battery is low,
and it's stressful.
And he's like he's stressed.
It's
I'm like,
stressful.
out there and play football or gata
really
to gata or go and catch something.
So I believe the time where we were having this internet cable challenge was quite stressful for a lot of
Stress
people.
spike.
Yes, very, because they can't just do away with their phones.
Some have said that a little bit of stress is important.
A little bit of stress, anxiety, it's fine, you know, but to the point where it begins to affect your functionality,
Okay.
that is where we have a problem, you know. So when it comes to these things, functionality is key. So your ability to go by your day-to-day activity normally, you know, without a challenge. But then when stress begins to pose, again, when it becomes prolonged and you are not managing it, and it begins to affect these areas in your lives, then it's a problem.
What resources are available at health institutions for stress? Somebody who is, can I be chronic stress?
Yeah.
So if someone came to you, he had chronic stress, what are some of the resources that are available, PPO, like that?
So for chronic stress, again, when it comes to stress, you need to help them, first of all, identify their stresses.
Okay.
So for some people, they don't.
When you say stresses,
So stresses are the things, quote unquote, that causes you stress, that makes you
the
stress.
causative agents
Right.
of stress are the stresses.
They are the stresses.
Okay.
And so for some people, they are not able to identify their stresses. They don't actually know. All they know is they are not sleeping well. They are having persistent headaches. But then they don't actually know what is really causing them. So first off, one of the things that helps is by letting them become more aware of their stresses, by knowing that not taking a break from Monday to Friday. You know, some people would say, I go to work at 6 a.m., I come home around 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and it's from Monday to Saturday. And so they need to first identify their stresses, and then we help them come up with good coping mechanisms. Mm-hmm. Again, we've spoken about that. So good coping mechanisms that could help them manage their stress, you know. And then we help them sleep. Sleep is very important when it comes to stress. And so the relaxation exercises help the body be in a more relaxed state, which when the body is in such a state, it's much easier for you to sleep and have a good night rest. So.
Across the world, there are countries where there are toll-free stress hotlines. Is there something like that in this country?
I don't think so. I think we have general mental health, you know, lines that one could reach when an individual is facing any mental health challenge. But specifically for a stress toll-free line, I don't think so.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I just wanted to know because you could always call a dial and say, "Listen, I'm lying here. I'm stressed. What do I do?" You know.
That would have helped.
I think that would be most helpful. What about therapy? How does stress and therapy work together?
So therapy helps you to first of all understand yourself better, which it's a very important thing when it comes to human. So first off, it helps you understand yourself, you know, better, get to know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And so for some people would come for therapy basically because they entered a new workspace and they just don't know how to navigate it. And for some, the inability to navigate through the phases of life is stressful for them. And so therapy helps, you know, first off to understand yourself better, to know how to manage yourself, deal with yourself, and also how to react, how to deal with people as well. And so therapy is a very solid thing for everybody. And I don't think the way we prioritize our health, I think it should be same when it comes to therapy. And so someone would say, well, I have a family doctor. I wish that person would have a family therapist as well. So it helps.
Someone said I should ask you if sex helps in managing stress. I would have mentioned his name, but I'm afraid of him.
So. Well, for married people, it helps. For married people, it helps. Stress has been shown. Sex has been shown to be one of the ways to manage stress. Again, but I think for marriage people, it helps.
So it's one who sent me the question. You heard him. It's for only married people. He said I should say it's for only married people. But then
again, I should say that stress also affects libido.
Okay, come again. I mean, first of all, start with the first one. That's stress. Sex eases stress.
Yes, it could ease stress.
Could ease stress. However, the same stress could kill your libido.
Yes,
which will prevent you from.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so that's why it's very important to manage your stress.
Please stop sending me that. Otherwise, I'll mention your name for sending me that question. Yeah? I'll mention your name. Anyway, so how do people? What do they do? What about the unmarried? How do the unmarried also handle this? Or you think it's a moral and religious issue?
I think for the unmarried, we should stick with the
other coping mechanisms.
Yes, the other coping mechanisms. We should stick with the adaptive coping mechanisms to deal with stress. I mean, it's easier to do, than engaging in marital stuff.
Yeah.
Just a simple breathing would help.
So, Mr. who sent me the sex question, if you want to, he says, go and breathe and breathe and breathe, and the thing will go away. Then you can continue your life. How has stress impacted? So, for instance, how does stress impact people's overall well-being?
So just like I was saying earlier, one of the ways stress impacts our overall general well-being is when we are not able to deal with stress, we could develop health complications. Because for stress, surprisingly, stress is one of the things that affect almost all the systems in the human body.
Okay.
So our respiratory system, our cardiovascular system, our nervous system, So whenever we are under stress, it tends to affect all these areas, And so managing stress really helps one stay out of some of the medical complications that could arise as a result of prolonged stress, So it is very important that we pay very close attention to managing or dealing with stress. Yeah.
Is there medication for stress?
Yeah. So.
And at what time would you medicate stress?
So for stress, I would say it is not quite. How do I put it? I wouldn't go for medication to help manage stress. Again, when it comes to stress, we are looking at some of the things that stems up as a result of the prolonged stress. So, for instance, some people are not able to sleep because of that. And so when there is medication, it is going to target the person sleeping.
Okay.
For instance. But again, I wouldn't encourage that one constantly is put on medication just to manage sleep.
So the medication is to deal with the symptom of the stress.
Yes.
Okay. Which is why you need to get to the cause of it and take the cause out.
Exactly.
Okay, that's quite interesting. In this country, I don't know, but it's just 10 minutes to the top of the hour, meaning that we have just 5 minutes to continue with this conversation and wrap it up. There are so many questions that are being fielded now, but one of the things that I have noticed that it seems in the West, people communities out there are a lot more intentional when it comes to managing stress than down here. Is that an erroneous impression?
Well, again, I think we've quite grown to be a community where we've become more distant as compared to generations past, where you find yourself in a family home and auntie is around, grandma is around, kids are around playing and laughing. I think those times, I believe, was quite interesting, and it helped people a lot as compared to now, whereby because of technology we are not able to. I think even for Ghana, we just I would say, I mean, I don't know the statistic, but I believe it's just a few people who are intentional when it comes to say, I'm taking a break and I'm going on a vacation and I'm going with some friends where we are going to a remote place where we are not going to use our phone. We are just going to, explore nature and hang out, So I think that is cultural based. I think the West is more intentional when it comes to some of these things as compared to our part of the world.
I'm saying this because quite recently I came across an article that was talking about something that some folks in Newcastle in the UK had started, Newcastle City, where they called it happy to chat benches.
Right.
And what they were doing was that they had special benches around town where people were sitting on those benches. So if you are lonely, you need somebody to chat with, you could just walk there, sit on one of the benches,
right,
and just chat with this complete stranger and just tell the person everything that you're going through. And they said it was helping so much in combating loneliness and isolation. And these are things we have touched on this morning as part of stresses. So, I mean, what stops us from? Would it happen culturally? Would the average Ghanaian go and sit on a bench and chat with a total stranger?
I don't think so. Because in our head, this person is basically coming to ask for money or, all this stuff. But I think I've experienced it. I've had quite some experience when it comes to, just chatting with a total stranger.
Share.
So one time I was on my way home and I picked this car and there was a lady seated beside me. And for some obvious reason, she just started talking. She was talking about work and how it's stressful and how, You
mean she didn't start by asking, what's your name? What do you do? Who are you?
She just started talking.
Wow.
And I believe it's her, it could be her personality because she has a very bubbly, personality. So she just started talking. And all throughout the journey, we spoke till she dropped. And when she was getting down, she just said, well, thank you for listening. I just needed this. It's relieving. Just talking about what's going on with me is just fine.
Wow.
And I feel good. And I believe it's very relieving when it happens like that, where you could just talk about what's going on with you. But unfortunately, not most people would want to do that again. A lot of people wouldn't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In distressing your thoughts out, you actually open yourself up, and that makes you vulnerable.
Right.
And people don't want to be vulnerable.
Right. But then if it's difficult for you to talk to a total stranger, you could get a journal.
Right.
Just write.
Scribble your thoughts.
Just write. That's also very powerful in helping deal with it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you didn't take the lady's number?
Oh, we
exchanged numbers.
We stay in touch.
Oh, great. Amazing.
Fortunately, that was the first time I had a lady taking my number and saying, I like you. I want to be your friend. So let me take your number.
Sure, you are one of the lucky ones, man.
Yeah, it was interesting. But so we do stay in touch from time to time, and we both talk about what's going on.
Amazing. Just made a friend out of a total stranger. Anyway, it's 5 minutes to 10 o'clock. All too soon, our time is up. But any final words from you, Julius?
Stress is, I would say, stress is one of the things that we hardly pay attention to. surprisingly, but it is one of the things that are causing a lot of, health conditions in the general lives. And so we should pay attention to stress. We should feel free to walk into a facility and seek help because we are stressed, or whenever we are under a lot of stress. We should do well to stay in touch, have a good social circle. We should do well to have self-care. We should take care of ourselves. We do have to make money, but again, we need to be mindful of the long effect of stress on our lives. And so I believe it's something that we need to actually pay attention to as Ghanaians, I should say. So
thank you very much. Mr. Julius Forson, clinical health psychology resident at the UGMC University of Ghana Medical Center. He's been with us on the Health and Wellness Tuesday. The topic was stress. I hope you've learned something. Or too soon. Time is up. It's 4 minutes to the top of the hour. We have to sign out of this place. It's been a Tuesday edition of Z in the Morning with me, Jerry Ham.